All right, I'm back for round two. So, this little video is going to be a little bit about language, Terrance McKenna, and just different ways we communicate with each other and about communication in general. I'd like to start with this quote here. What I've observed, and I think it's fair to give credit to the psychedelic experience for this, what I've observed is that nature builds on previously established levels of complexity. One way to think about what psychedelics are is a catalyst for language development. They literally force the evolution of language. You cannot evolve faster than your language because the language defines the culture of meaning. So if there's a way to accelerate the evolution of language, then this is real consciousness expansion, and it's a permanent thing. The great legacies of the 60s are in attitudes and language. It boils down to doing your own thing, feeling the vibe, ego trip, blowing your mind. So it's amazing how in the 60s there was a lot of just expansion of culture. If you look at a lot of the big bands today, whether it's, Fleetwood Mac or, the Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin, The Doors, these are all bands that I like. They're not necessarily huge today, but they're still around. They made a lot of original music. I'm sure you could argue that Led Zeppelin maybe ripped off some of their stuff. However, it's that language, it's that evolution of consciousness, that evolution of language. Another important note here. I read a book by Jeremy Narby, and in that book, he talks about going down to South America as a ethnobotanist and being immersed in some of the tribes in the rainforest, and a lot of people that went with him, other ethnobotanists, when they were immersed in the tribes, some of the tribesmen would say that they were able to have conversations with the plants. The plants would talk to them. The majority of the researchers kind of wrote them off as, just simpletons or, ignorant. But Jeremy Narby went a little further, and he wasn't skeptical, and after most people left, he stayed on and continued to do research. And one of the tribe members had kind of noticed that he actually cared about his research and what he was doing, and so Jeremy had asked the tribesmen, excuse me, when you said you talked to the plants, it's difficult for me to understand what you mean, and I think a lot of people didn't understand what you were talking about. Can you kind of clarify that? So the tribesmen walked over to a plant, and he was showing them the different plants, and there happened to be a venomous snake there, and the venomous snake was green, and it had like two white diamonds on the side of its head. And the tribesman tells Jeremy, "See that snake over there? Do you see the markings on that snake? It's a green snake with an oval head, and it has two white dots on its head." And then they walked a little further in the forest, and he showed him a plant that had a oval, like an oviate leaf with two white dots on the side that was very similar to the snake. And he told Jeremy that, this is what I mean when the plants talk to us. This plant is telling you that it will cure the venom of that snake. So it's not necessarily that the plants are speaking English like a bunch of knuckleheads might think, but it's just that the plants are telling you, if you're willing to look, if you're willing to, maybe speak the language of the past, the language of symbolism, the language of yesterday, or maybe a psychedelic language where you can kind of get out and see the big picture. You can see that, that plant is telling you something. That plant is telling you, hey, I look like this snake. I might be the anti-venom for this snake. I will maybe try to put the name of that book in the show notes down there. But it's a fascinating read, and it kind of expands your consciousness into thinking there are multiple ways of language and multiple ways of seeing things different. And going back to the first video, you can see that culture is pretty constrictive. We're all kind of victims of culture, and it's not necessarily your friend. Culture is something that forces you to live a certain way or feel the wrath of the negative people around you. That negative wrath can be, anxiety or feelings of not being close to anyone or feelings of not fitting in. We have these cultural norms in different parts of the world that tell us who we should be. Not necessarily what the best thing is to be, but what society wants you to be. And I'm not sure about you, but it doesn't seem like it's working out too well as of lately. But there's a lot of great people out there, and trying to reach you, and hopefully you guys can reach out to me and let me know what you think. But I'll be putting up some more videos today and trying to learn how to do this YouTube thing a little bit better. So hope you looking forward to hearing some cool stories and listening to some book reviews. Thank you.